Assassinations are usually always about politics, as much as they are about the individual, with the expectation that the murder of a person would also result in the death of their beliefs or convictions, striking dread into the hearts of their contemporaries and terrifying the rest of the world. A quick thank you to everyone who has been watching our videos recently, and to all of our subscribers, we really appreciate your support. If you want to keep up with our latest videos, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Leaders will always have enemies. Some disagree with their viewpoints, while others disagree with their actions. It is never easy to be a leader, especially when you are scrutinized and judged for every action you take. The same was true for these leaders. They may have committed mistakes, or so it appeared to those who stepped up to make amends in their own manner. Here are 10 famous assassinations that shaped the world. Number 1. Abraham Lincoln, April 14th, 1865. Abraham Lincoln is perhaps America's most popular president, having led the country through the Civil War, preserving the Union, abolishing slavery, modernizing the economy, and strengthening the federal government. Lincoln, a champion of black rights, including voting rights, was hated by Confederate states. John Wilkes Booth, his assassin, was a Confederate spy whose self-proclaimed motivation was to avenge the Southern states. Booth was a fervent supporter of the Southern cause, and he was open in his support for slavery and hatred of Lincoln. On April 14, 1865, Lincoln was viewing a performance at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C. Lincoln sat alone with no bodyguards. John Wilkes Booth moved up behind him and shot him in the head at close range. It was Good Friday, and the man who guided America through the Civil War and slavery died the next morning. Lincoln's death harmed ties between the United States North and South. Number 2. John F. Kennedy, November 22nd, 1963. President John F. Kennedy was America's darling, young, charming, and idealistic. Kennedy was welcomed with open arms by many in the U.S., particularly due to his new frontier, domestic policies, and staunchy anti-communist foreign policy. Lee Harvey Oswald is the accused assassin of President John F. Kennedy. As history records, at 12:30 p.m. on November 22, 1963, from a window on the 6th floor of the Depository Building, Oswald, using a mail-order rifle, allegedly fired 3 shots that killed President Kennedy and wounded Texas Governor John B. Connally in an open-car motorcade in Dealey Plaza. His death shocked the nation. Oswald took a bus and a taxi to his rooming house, departed, and about a mile away was stopped by patrolman J.D. Tippit, who believed that Oswald resembled the suspect already being described over the police radio. Oswald killed Tippit with his mail-order revolver, 1:15 p.m. At about 1:45 p.m., Oswald was seized in the Texas Theater by police officers responding to reports of a suspect. At 1:30 a.m. on November 23rd, he was formally arraigned for the murder of President Kennedy. On the morning of November 24th, while being transferred from a jail cell to an interrogation office, Oswald was shot by a distraught Dallas nightclub owner, Jack Ruby. Number 3. YITZHAK Rabin, November 4th, 1995. YITZHAK Rabin was the 5th Prime Minister of Israel. First elected in 1974, he was re-elected in 1992 on a platform that embraced the Israeli-Palestinian peace process. Subsequently, he signed various historic agreements as part of the Oslo Peace Accords, winning the Nobel Peace Prize in 1994. He was an advocate of peace and independent Palestine and was working for the same. However, his killer Yigal Amir, a right-wing Jewish law student, shot Rabin as he left a peace rally on the 4th of November, 1995. Many view his death as also being the demise of the kind of peace he had envisioned and worked towards, making it one of the most tragically effective political assassinations of the 20th century, and that it killed off an idea as much as a man. Number 4. Martin Luther King Jr., April 4th, 1968. Martin Luther King, as a leader of the American Civil Rights Movement, faced a great deal of hostility and opposition throughout his career, including a near-fatal stabbing in 1958. After hearing of JFK's assassination in 1963, King reportedly informed his wife that he too expected to be assassinated. In 1964, he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. The assassination of King was carried out by James Earl Ray. Ray was a small-time thief, a gas station and store robber who had done time in jail, once in Illinois and twice in Missouri, and had received a suspended sentence in Los Angeles. On April 23, 1967, he escaped from the Missouri State Penitentiary, and nearly a year later, on April 4, 1968, from a window of an adjacent rooming house, he shot King, who was standing on the balcony of a motel room. James Earl Ray first pleaded guilty to murder, but then changed his mind. Many people, including King's family, feel that his killing was arranged by the government and/or the mafia in order to silence him. Number 5. Julius Caesar, March 15th, 44 BC. Here is one assassination from the history books. The Roman Emperor Julius Caesar was stabbed to death on the Ides of March, forever altering the destiny of the Republic. "Et tu, Brute," he said as he died. "Even you, Brutus?" When his close friend Marcus Brutus killed the leader with the assistance of the other senators. On March 15th, 44 BC, the emperor was assaulted and stabbed on the Ides of March at Rome. The reason for the killing was to prevent Roman Emperor Julius Caesar from obtaining too much authority and power. His death triggered a succession of civil conflicts. In William Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, a soothsayer warns the emperor, "Beware the Ides of March." Number 6. King Faisal, March 25th, 1975. Faisal bin Abdullah Al Saud, a king of Saudi Arabia from 1964 to 1965. As king, he is credited for saving the country's finances and instituting a modernization and reform strategy, while its key foreign policy objectives were pan-Islamism, anti-communism, and pro-Palestinian nationalism. He was effective in stabilizing the kingdom's bureaucracy, and his rule was widely appreciated among Saudis. On the 25th of March, 1975, King Faisal was shot point-blank and killed by his half-brother's son, Faisal bin Musaad, who had just come back from the United States. The murder occurred at a gathering. Prince Faisal spoke with Kuwaiti diplomats, who were also waiting to see King Faisal in the waiting area. When the prince approached to embrace him, King Faisal leaned in to kiss his nephew, as is customary in Saudi Arabia, and at that moment, Prince Faisal pulled out a revolver and shot him. Number 7. Mahatma Gandhi, January 30th, 1948. Mohandas Karmchand Gandhi was the leader of the Indian nationalist movement against British rule and was considered to be the father of his country. He is internationally esteemed for his doctrine of nonviolent protest to achieve political and social progress. On January 30th, while he was on his way to his evening prayer meeting in Delhi, he was shot down by Nathuram Godse, a young Hindu fanatic. Witnesses said that Godse shot Gandhi 3 times at point-blank range as Gandhi made his way through the garden of a private residence. Gandhi was thought to have died almost instantly, and Godse was immediately apprehended. In a statement released several months later, Godse noted that he bowed to Gandhi and wished him well before he opened fire. Number 8. Benazir Bhutto, December 27, 2007. Benazir Bhutto, the chairperson of the Pakistan People's Party, PPP, was the most prominent Pakistani woman socialist democratic politician and the 11th Prime Minister of Pakistan. Benazir was the first woman elected to lead a Muslim state, serving 2 non-consecutive terms. Benazir Bhutto was a symbol of the fight for democracy, as she is one of just a few female executive leaders who have shaped global events during the previous century. Bhutto was assassinated on December 27, 2007, while leaving a campaign rally in Rawalpindi. The attack happened as Bhutto was leaving the rally. Bhutto rose up through the sunroof of her armored car to wave to the people. At this time, a shooter opened fire on her, and bombs were detonated near her car, killing about 20 people. Bhutto was badly injured and taken to Rawalpindi General Hospital, where she died at 18:16 p.m. local time. Number 9. Patrice Lumumba, January 17, 1961. Patrice Lumumba was the first democratically elected Prime Minister of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Lumumba campaigned for both the Congo and government Africanization. When the new government experienced political upheaval, Belgian forces entered under the premise of safeguarding Belgian people in the country, but in truth, they hoped to gain an advantage with the Congo in chaos. In an effort to fight back against the Belgians, Lumumba sought with both the UN and the US for assistance in fighting Belgian-backed troops, but he was refused assistance from both. He subsequently proceeded to the Soviet Union, and it was largely because of this that the Army Chief Colonel Joseph Mobutu conducted a coup on September 14, 1960. Lumumba was shot by firing squad on the January 17, 1961, after a long imprisonment. Number 10. Aldo Moro, May 9, 1978. Aldo Moro was an Italian politician who served as the country's 38th prime minister from 1963 to 1968, and again from 1974 to 1976. The Red Brigades, a militant left-wing group, abducted Moro and held him captive for 2 months in the hopes of arranging a trade. They would give up Moro in return for the freedom of their captive friends. The Italian government stood firm and refused to budge on the demands of the Red Brigades. On May 9, 1978, Moro was shot 10 times. So that's our list of the major assassinations of world leaders. If you have any others to add to this list, let us know in the comments below, and please hit the like button. Thanks for watching.